The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Arima man wounded after investigating commotion. Arima police are investigating a report in which a 56-year-old man was shot in the backyard of his home during curfew hours. The incident took place around 10:45 p.m. on Sunday along Hoyt Avenue, Matarita, Arima. The victim told police that he was at his home when he heard a commotion outside. Upon going to investigate, he was greeted by gunfire. The man took cover but felt a burning sensation in his abdomen. He ran a short distance away and called for assistance. He was then rushed to the Arima Health Facility by Corporal Saint and PC Sitaram of Arima CID. He was medically examined and transferred to Mount Hope Hospital, where he was examined. Up to this morning, the victim was listed as being in a stable condition, having sustained a single gunshot wound to the abdomen. Police said one lead projectile along with 8 spent 9mm shell casings were recovered. Corporal Deer is continuing inquiries. More on this as it becomes available. School principal charged in the death of 2-year-old Romelu Drakes granted $250,000 bail. School principal Alicia Barrett was yesterday granted $250,000 bail after being charged in relation to the drowning death of 2-year-old Romelu Drakes. Barrett, 50, of Cunupia, yesterday faced Couva Senior Magistrate Christine Charles for the alleged unlawful death of the toddler on March 16, 2021. The wording of the charge was raised at a court appearance last Friday, but yesterday it was agreed that the charge against Barrett was manslaughter. Barrett, a speech therapist, was not present for the virtual court appearance as she was in quarantine at the women's prison after being remanded into custody on Friday. It is a COVID-19 procedure at the prison that anyone entering the system for the first time is placed in a separate location from the rest of the prison population. During the virtual hearing, defense attorney Rajiv Prasad applied for bail for Barrett. The attorney who filed documents in relation to the matter added that the offense was a bailable one. Police prosecutor Sergeant Ramjit Singh said Barrett could be located by police if needed, but asked that she surrender her passport should bail be considered. The magistrate placed her on $250,000 bail with her cousin as surety. The condition of bail imposed, however, was that she has to report to the senior police officer at the Couva police station within 72 hours should she be changing her address. The matter was adjourned to September 6. Romelu reportedly fell into a pool on the compound of a Couva educational institution, and he was pronounced dead at the Couva Health Facility. An autopsy revealed he died from drowning. Barrett was arrested at her home last Wednesday and charged following advice from Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions Joan Honor Paul. The charge was laid by Constable Elliott. Barrett was also represented by attorney Patrice Adolphus. What's your verdict? Do you believe a 2-year-old could make it up that ladder on his own and that manslaughter is an appropriate charge? Or do you believe that something more sinister happened? Suspect leads police to missing woman's body. The unidentified body of a woman was found yesterday in Sangre Chiquito, and police suspect it may be that of 34-year-old Analisa Gookool. This is because they were led to the area by 2 men who have close connections with Gookool. after they were interrogated by homicide investigators. The discovery was made just before midday in a forested area in the vicinity of Warden Trace, police said. The body was also said to be clad in similar clothing to what Gookool was last seen wearing. The two men were detained 10 days ago as police investigated Gookool's disappearance. On Thursday night, one of the men agreed to assist the police and gave them directions to an area where the body would be discovered. He told the police the body had been buried. Since Friday, police have been using excavators and backhoes to dig up the ground in the area that they were directed to. Some areas were dug up to 8 feet, police said, with large areas of land and trees being cleared. The search continued throughout the weekend and came to a head yesterday when the body was discovered. Gookool of Toko Road, Vega de Oropuchi, was last seen on June 6. She was reported missing at the Coroni police station some 3 days later. However, police were also told that Gookool was at the center of an investigation into fraud that involved the two suspects. On June 29, the police service issued a press release seeking the public's help in locating Gookool. On July 31, the two men, who are both in their 30s, were detained. They've been kept in custody since and questioned repeatedly, until one of the men agreed to assist the police. Gookool was related to Devanand and Jeremy Gookool, a father and son who were erased at their home in St. Helena in 2014. They were both erased by a man who police believe had been contracted to carry out the crime. CCTV footage had captured images which showed the license plate, make and model of the vehicle the assailant used. Mayaro man erased, friend wounded in home invasion. Armed men stormed a house in Mayaro on Sunday night and erased a 27-year-old man and seriously wounded another. The deceased was identified as Vijay Singh of Oliver Drive, Lachuth Road, Pinal. Singh was visiting his friend David Francois at his Ortor village Point Radix home when they were ambushed at around 9:45 a.m. Police said the men were inside the house when 3 men entered and opened fire on them. Francois, 46, escaped through a back door, ran to his Kia pickup, and drove to Mayaro District Health Facility. He suffered gunshot wounds to the lower chest and arms, police said. Hospital officials contacted the Mayaro police station and officers went to Francois' home and found Singh lying motionless in the bedroom. Police said Singh was shot twice and his driver's permit was recovered at the scene. He was pronounced dead by a district medical officer. Francois was referred to the Sangre Grande Hospital for treatment. Police are yet to determine a motive for the shooting. Investigators are searching for the suspects, who are believed to be from the area. PC Ramhajan of the Region 3 Homicide Division is continuing investigations. Ambulance driver escapes serious attack and carjacking by 2 women. 2 women who allegedly attacked an ambulance driver with a syringe and then robbed him of his vehicle have been arrested by police. The suspects, a 33-year-old of Sangre Grande and a 26-year-old of Arima, are in police custody. The 38-year-old ambulance driver of Sangre Quito told officers the attack occurred on Thursday night, minutes before curfew. A police report said that around 8:30 p.m., the victim was at his home when 2 women, one of whom he knows, visited. After a brief conversation, the victim agreed to take the women to Sangre Grande, and they entered his black Hyundai Tucson valued at $40,000. The victim told police one of the women sat in the front passenger seat and the other in the rear. At around 8:50 p.m., the victim stopped at Adolphus Cox Circular, Sangre Grande, for the women to exit his vehicle. The victim reported that the front seat passenger held onto his T-shirt and leaned towards him. He told police that he observed sudden movement from the woman seated behind him. He then felt a stinging sensation to his neck as if he was pierced by a needle. The victim said he felt liquid which emitted a chemical odor running down his neck. He told police he became fearful for his life and exited his vehicle and ran. The woman took control of his vehicle and attempted to ram him, he reported. He evaded the collision and flagged down a passing motorist who gave him a lift. The victim told police the women again came at him and collided with the Samaritan's vehicle, then sped off. He made a report to Sangre Grande police, then sought treatment at the Sangre Grande hospital. An all-points bulletin was issued for the stolen vehicle, and officers found it burnt at Clark Trace Plum Road, Manzanilla. The suspects were arrested on Friday in Manzanilla by Corporal Singh and a party of Manzanilla police officers. Corporal Guy and other officers of the Sangre Grande CID also responded. Two women who allegedly attacked and robbed an ambulance driver are expected to appear before a Sangre Grande magistrate today. The accused are a 33-year-old woman from Sangre Grande and a 26-year-old woman from Arima. The duo was held for an incident that allegedly took place at about 8:30 p.m. on Thursday. The victim, an ambulance driver, told police that he was at his Sangre Quito home when he was visited by the two women. They had a conversation during which he agreed to take the women to Sangre Grande as curfew was approaching. They entered his black Hyundai Tucson and drove off. However, upon reaching the location where the women had directed him, in the vicinity of Adolphus Cox Circular, one of the women pulled out a syringe and placed it against the man's neck and announced a hold-up. The man said he smelt a chemical substance from the syringe and became fearful. He was ordered out of the vehicle and he complied. They then drove off. The police were immediately notified and a team of officers led by Corporal Guy responded. The victim then sought treatment at the Sangre Grande hospital. Police said the vehicle was recovered some hours later along Clark Trace, Manzanilla. There were burn marks on it, leading police to believe that the suspects attempted to set it on fire. A team of officers led by Corporal Singh from the Manzanilla police station conducted inquiries and were able to detain the two women on Friday in Manzanilla. They were arrested and handed over to the Sangre Grande police station where they were questioned and charged. Corporal Guy is the charging officer in this matter. More on this as it becomes available. Prison officer subjected to second attack on his home. For the second time in less than 3 years, the home of a prison officer from Tacarigua has been the target of attacks. The latest attack on prison officer Khalil Baksh's home took place early yesterday morning. CCTV footage of the incident, apparently captured by cameras at Baksh's home, was shared on social media. The short video clip showed two masked men walking along the road and stopping in front of Baksh's house. One of the men drew what appeared to be an assault rifle and fired several shots at the house, while the other hurled an incendiary device believed to be a Molotov cocktail into the yard where vehicles were parked. Baksh's property was damaged, but he and his family escaped unscathed. The attack on Bak's home was similar to another in October 2018. In that incident, 2 unmasked men were captured on CCTV throwing Molotov cocktails at Bak's home. Baksh and his family managed to extinguish the blaze before it engulfed the house. The first attack on Bak's home came days after former prison superintendent Wayne Jackson was erased in front of his home. A building at the maximum security prison where Jackson was last assigned was renamed in his honor in July. Contacted for comment, Prisons Commissioner Dennis Polchan said that the incident was being thoroughly investigated. He declined to comment extensively on the incident as he stated that the investigation was at a sensitive stage. I do not want to put his life at any unnecessary risk, Polchan said. $100,000 reward for information about the 2018 homicide of Alana Mohammed. It has been almost 18 months since the death of Shagwana's mother, Alana Mohammed, and no one has been held. Her 13-year-old daughter, who was injured in the shooting, is still recovering. Crime Stoppers is now offering a cash reward of $100,000 for information that will lead to the arrest and charge of the persons responsible for Mohammed's death. In a public notice, Crime Stoppers asked anyone with information about the murder or have heard someone speaking about the incident to call 800-TIPS or submit a tip online at www.crimestopperstt.com. The caller would remain anonymous. Mohammed and her daughter were ambushed at their home at Das Extension Trace Enterprise at about 6 a.m. as she was about to take her daughter to school in her black Toyota Corolla motorcar. Police said a slim-built man of dark complexion wearing a white shirt fired several shots at the vehicle. Mohammed died at the scene and her daughter was critically injured. The shooter escaped in a white Nissan Tida motorcar. No one was detained.